This little honey is the MW Steelworks Merlin. MW stands for Marcus Williamson, relatively new knife maker that you can find on Instagram. He's been knocking it out of the park recently with some really beautiful little fixed blade EDC knives. He reached out to me, asked if I wanted to check this out, and he sent me a picture of it, and I said, oh yeah. And so he sent it along to me, and it is an excellent little pocket knife. That's exactly what it is. It's a knife that slips in your pocket. Actually, he ships them with these handy little pocket slips, and it just goes into your pocket, and boom, you basically forget about it until you need it or want to play with it, fidget with it, and there it is. So this is made of 8670 high carbon steel. That's a steel I've never actually heard of, 8670. And it's very, very sharp, really nice grinds. He does a really good job with the grinds, and very excellent sharp edge here. Very excellent, huh? Bocote wood with, you can see these are micarta pins there, and feature I really love. That's 3 layers of G10 for the liners, that teal, that white and orange. And look at this level of fit and finish on this knife. Really, really nice. I mean, the fit, you can see there are like no gaps here. When I look really closely where the tang meets the handle scale material, no gaps, and then you just have this beautiful finish along the edges, dorsal and pectoral regions. The little ricasso area here is rounded over, so there's no sort of hot spot, no roughness there, and yeah, it's just a nice little knife. It fits really well in my hands, my medium-sized hands. It's a 3.5. Actually, this is a 4-finger knife, legitimately, for me. Your mileage may vary depending on your hand size, of course, but this sloping bit of the back part of the handle accommodates my pinky very nicely. And I haven't used this for much yet, though it has run through some cardboard, and well, it works really well, as you may imagine. It's nice and sharp, but it has a pretty robust geometry here. And I find it very aesthetically pleasing. I'm going to put this down so you can see how big it is. It's got a 2.5-inch blade, 2.5 if you come right up to the handle scale. Cutting edge looks like it's about 2.25. And then with the sheath, that's the sheath. So I've been following him on Instagram for a while now, and whoops, that's just me. It actually fits very nicely in there. And a lot of his other knives have a little protruding bit here from the blade tang that has a lanyard loop. I could see why that's, I like a lanyard hole. I like the lanyard option on a knife this small because I like a little fob. First of all, it helps in the grip if you really need to hold it, tightly in your fist. Having a little fob here helps with grip, but also with this kind of a sheath in your pocket. I keep putting it in there wrong. This kind of sheath in your pocket, it also helps to just extract it. This has not been a problem for me to extract without pulling out the leather slip in my pocket. Sometimes you'll find that with this sort of setup in your pocket, you have to pull the whole thing out, take the knife out, and put it back into your pocket. That hasn't been the case with this knife. It does pull out easily. And that whole thing about the fob, I gotta say, half of that is I just like the way it looks on a knife like this, to have a little piece of leather hanging off the back or something like that. So it's definitely not a deal breaker, and it doesn't reduce the function of the knife at all. But yeah, I'm just very pleased with this thing. This wood is beautiful. I have Bocote wood on one other knife, and it's a Great Eastern Cutlery. I love that the knot is on this side. It looks like an eye to me, and yeah, find it very pleasing. Let me show this with a couple of other knives. Now, I don't have too many knives in this size range that are fixed blades. So for a size comparison first, I'll show it with the usual PM2 by Spyderco. As you can see, it's a small knife. Here it is with the bug out, also small. Here, let me show it to you here. Now we're getting down to the, that's still a little bit bigger. So as you can see, this has a great handle to blade ratio. It doesn't have to accommodate, you know, the handle does not have to accommodate a folding blade. So, you know, you're gonna naturally get a good handle to blade ratio on this. And yeah, it's just this design here. So on the handle here, you've got this finger trail and then this widening towards this break, and that widening really, I mean, it's a small handle, but I feel like I get a very good grip with the way that this is shaped here. This little curve, this little bit of the grain of that wood is an optical illusion. It makes it look like that it curves in there. It does not. It's a straight line from here to here, and that really aids in the grip. And then you put the thumb on the back, and you can do a lot of work with this cool little knife. All right, let me show it with a couple of fixed blade knives. Here's one, a custom. This is the Alex Steingraber, or Steingraber Performance Knives Shark. It's a much thinner, more delicate, I would say. Not delicate like it's gonna come apart in use. I don't mean it like that. I mean it's more of a fine grind, thinner blade. But blade wise, it's kind of in the neighborhood. I guess not, but close enough. Like I said, I don't have too many fixed blades in that category. Here's one. The Tops MSK 2.5. This is a bit more in line with the blade thickness and grind style, this being pretty much a Scandi grind, but on a thinner blade stock, so it kind of has a very similar behind the edge feel. Actually, this is much more obtuse than this. This actually comes down quite thin. And let's see, one more here. Little CRKT Minimalist. So kind of in the neighborhood. Again, like I said, I don't have too many knives of this in this size category or type in terms of pocket fixed blades. Though I do love my little fixed blade knives. This is a nice addition. This is like a secondary left pocket knife for me with a larger folder in my right pocket. Or this has also been doing duty around the house. That sounds terrible. It hasn't been doing duty around the house. This thing has been in my pocket around the house quite a bit, especially with shorts on. It's hot, it's summer. This is a nice little knife, kind of light knife to drop in my pocket. And like I said, hasn't done much more than prepare boxes for the recycling. But you can see it's nicely, it's maintained its polish pretty well without sometimes cardboard will gnarl up a knife, but that's usually when it has a coating. And then you can see how the leather has been polishing up the spine of this knife. So check out this guy. It's MW Steelworks on Instagram, but his name is Marcus Williamson. He's really making some beautiful fixed blade EDC knives, and I'm honored to have this Merlin in my possession, and I think it's a really beautiful little creation. And having this in hand makes me want to make a knife like this. I don't know if you ever experienced that, but sometimes you get a knife and you're like, man, I want to make this knife. I kind of wish I came up with this design and I kind of wish that I were making this. So it just seems like a really good idea, because it's a useful little pocket knife, and fixed blade, you know it's never going to fail you. All right, well, thanks for taking a look at this close-up of the MW Steelworks Merlin.